Hey Top Stanners, I'm Raz Joey, and today we're going to be looking at Charizard and the fire support released around him for our Flash Fire set. Now, I say for our Flash Fire set, I'm assuming that these cards are coming out in Flash Fire. No confirmation just yet, but one could only assume. With that, we have actually had revealed to us not one, not two, but 3 Charizard X's. And yeah, I'll be honest, I think that's a bit of a surprise to get not one, to get 3 X's for Charizard. I mean, personally, I'm a fan of it. I started with Charmander in my very first run through. I've always been a Charizard fan. But I do think it's kind of odd that Charizard gets 3 prints, and over in Japan he gets a set and a deck dedicated to him. Whereas over here, Blastoise and Venusaur, the other Kanto starters, only got 1 print each. I mean, as I said, I'm a huge Charizard fan. I'm happy to see all of us Charizard love. I think it's weird though that all the people who started with either Squirtle or Bulbasaur haven't got the same love. So, Pokemon Company, Blastoise X, Venusaur X, promo versions, perhaps, maybe, for the other fans? Yeah? Share the love? But anyway, let's actually roll into this and actually start covering some Charizard, shall we? We'll actually start with the first Charizard that was revealed to us. This has been shown to us as a promo card and was first revealed in Kuroko magazine. Our first Charizard X, or Promozard if you want to give him a nickname already, is a 180 hit point basic fire type with a retreat cost of 3, weakness to water, and 2 attacks. The first attack, for a fire and a colorless, you can use Mega Awakening. You switch your deck for a Mega Charizard X and add it to your hand. The second attack, for a fire and 3 colorless, you can use Brave Fire, which does 120 damage, then Charizard X takes 30 recoil damage. So with that I can kind of see how this Charizard X is kind of meant to relate to his non-Dragon Mega counterpart. They both turn around and say, here's a decent amount of damage, here's a high energy cost, and here's recoil. The big reason I can see anyone going anywhere near this card is mostly just for Mega Awakening. You're really just going to be using it to say, here's a Charizard, I've got the Mega, I can Mega Evolve next turn and just start rolling with my Mega Charizard. That's basically the whole reason he's here. And yeah, I can't really see much use for him beyond that. He doesn't really accelerate at all. He's not really that offensive when it's 4 energy for 120 with recoil. 180 hit points kind of makes up for the recoil, but if you're going to go for 120 damage with any kind of cost, Black-White Reshiram is still a thing. You can still just go, here's 3 energy, Blue Flare 120, discard 2 fire. There you go. It's pretty much the exact same thing with a lower energy cost, and you don't give up 2 prizes. With that covered, let's move on to the main set Charizards, and I'm going to start with the one I don't like most. Once again, Charizard X, 180 hit points, basic fire type, weakness to water. He has a retreat cost of 2 this time, and once again, 2 attacks. The first attack is for 3 colorless, you can use Wing Attack. Do 60 damage. That's it. For 2 fire and double colorless, you can use Flame Explosion. You do 150 damage. During your next turn, you can't use Flame Explosion again. Well, this Pokemon can't use Flame Explosion again. Now, I'm looking at that. Yeah, Flame Explosion alongside something like Hypnotoxic and Verbank, or with a Muscle Band attached. Yeah, you're going to be knocking out like standard X's. Against Genesect Virizion, guaranteed knockouts. But this card, to me, doesn't have an early game. It really doesn't. It's going to take a hit or two unless you're against Keldeo Blastoise, and if they get the turn 2 Blastoise, well, you could very easily fall to this anyway. But this Charizard, as I said, there's no early game. You can probably get a turn 2 60 if you're going with double colourless. So turn 1, Fire Energy, second turn, double colourless, swing for 60. But 60 damage, turn 2, it's not the biggest thing in the world. You're not really going to want it. As I said, there's a reason I don't like this one. It's my least favourite out of the 3, and the major reason is the promo version allows you to actually go out there, grab a Mega. It's set up. And there's something similar on the third Charizard deck I'm going to cover, but that's kind of situational. I will get into that. As I'm saying though, this card doesn't really have much of an early game, and 150 every other turn. You could do the whole swap and change thing, just go, let's have a Keldeo Floatstone going, 150 a turn, yay. If you've got the Muscle Bandits, 170 a turn, knocking out X's. It seems like, it doesn't really seem to me to have the longevity that's needed to keep it going. If your opponent has to set up, knocks this out, it's going to be 2 or 3 turns gone. You can't just bounce from one Charizard X to the other. Even if you do have something like Ember, you're going to start running low on resources. And, well, if you're running Ember, why set up a 4 energy attacker when you can just go with Rayquaza, which only needs 3 fire energy, and it can do 180. So, even then, you're not going to be 10 short of knocking something out. There are a lot of X's, especially when you're looking at these Megas. A lot of the Megas do have 180 hit points instead of 170. So, Flame Explosion, Muscle Band, 170, you've not knocked them out. Rayquaza, 3 energy, doesn't matter what size they are, they're knocked out. But let's move on from the Charizard I don't like and move on to the second Charizard I do like. Once again, basic fire, 180 hit points, retreat cost of 2, weakness to water, 2 attacks. This Charizard's first attack, for 1 colourless you can use Flare Up. Flip a coin, if heads, search your deck for 3 basic energy and attach them to this Charizard. Then you shuffle your deck. Then, for a fire and 3 colourless, Fire Blast. Do 120 damage, discard 1 energy attached to him. Now, the major reason I like this one over the last Charizard is just the whole fact that Flare Up, its potential setup. It's not very often I will turn around and say, this attack has a coin toss on it, it's okay. In fact, a lot of attacks basically is a case of, it's a good attack except for the coin toss. With Flare Up, I think the coin toss is kind of validated, just for the whole fact that you're grabbing 3 energy from your deck. By turn 2 you can have the 5 energy on this Charizard to actually set up for its Mega. And it's not specific on the energy that's needed to do it, you don't even need a fire energy to do it, so it's very easy to actually set up for it. It's on the coin toss, yes, that normally kills lots of attacks. It's a 50% chance at going +3 on your energy attachments. It means that you don't really have to turn around and say, well, I need my turn 2 Ember. Sure, you can go for the turn, you can still go for the turn 2 Ember, you can still get the turn 2 Ember. The ironic thing with this is, if you actually hit the heads, you will, only minutely, but you will increase your chance of actually getting the turn 2 Ember. 3 fire energy out of your deck means that you've taken about, say, I think it's 7.5% of your cards out of your deck after setup. And that's not factoring in if before you go for Flare Up, if you've used anything like N or Juniper or Shana or any other card to take cards out of your deck. So if you've done anything like a Juniper, or you've gone, here's Ultra Ball plus something on my bench, here's N or Shana, you're going to take more cards out of your deck already, just increasing the chances of hitting Candy and Ember to get the Tepig and all of that kind of, to actually get your turn 2 Ember. As I said, it's not a huge increase in chance, but you still are increasing your you are still increasing your odds. So yeah, this Charizard, it does turn around and say, yeah, it's a coin toss, but it means that you're not as reliant on your setup. If you miss the coin toss, you can still go for turn 2 Ember and cover it that way. If you hit the coin toss, slightly better chance of a turn 2 Ember, and you've got more setup on board. So yeah, I think for once this is a case of a coin toss doesn't ruin an attack, it actually does balance it. So those are my thoughts on the 3 Charizards. We've got 2 that are okay and can kind of help you set up, and we've got 1 that I just don't rate at all. And I will be honest, I won't be surprised if people do turn around and say they prefer the wing attack one if it actually does turn out to be better from an offensive standpoint. Personally, don't see it right now, but hey, feel free to prove me wrong. Now let's move on to the support that's come out alongside these Charizards. And I think we'll actually start off with the ever so beautiful fake Lysandre. Oh, Lysandre, or I actually don't know how you pronounce this name. Is it Lysandre or Lysandre? I'll leave that to you guys. I'm just going to call him Lysandre because I find it easier to pronounce it that way. So we've got Lysandre, a trainer supporter card. Hold on to your pants for this one. Choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and switch it with his or her active Pokemon. Yeah, it's Catcher. After they nerfed Catcher, they basically turned around and said, a guaranteed Catcher is an okay thing as long as it's a supporter, as long as it's a one-off thing. Catcher as a supporter, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that, I'd be very surprised if people do not run this. I don't think it's the most broken thing ever, and that's the reason why it's been printed the way it has. So it's a case of Catcher as a normal trainer, last format. Well, a lot of people complained about it. When Gust of Wind got its reprint, a lot, and I mean a lot of people were up in arms about it. It was like, it's too powerful, we've just gone from reversal, now we're getting Catcher back. It's like, it's too good. And oddly enough, it did actually come around to Catcher being released. It's like, it was a powerful card, but it was nowhere near as broken as people made it out to be. Now it's a case of Catcher's been nerfed, people complained about that as well, and now we've got a supporter version of the original Catcher, or the original Gust of Wind. Now, to be honest, I do think this is going to get played. I don't see it being like the old Catcher where it's basically you have to run 4 to win. Mostly because it's your supporter, and you normally want to be able to actually play supporter, then play Catcher, or play Catcher, then play supporter and set up. Lysandre being a supporter is probably going to be, say, 1 or 2 per deck. It's going to be, do I have it in hand, can I close off my game? Yes? There we go then. It's not overpowered, but it is a good utility card, and it's going to be played. As I said, at least 1 or 2 will find their way into decks, and I won't be surprised if the difference between top cutting decks and winning decks will be just the 1 or 2 Lysandre. Moving on from Lysandre, we do have another supporter. This one is Blacksmith. This card allows you to take 2 fire energy from your discard pile and attach them to one of your fire type Pokemon. So it's basically a reworked Dark Patch. It doesn't have to be to the bench, it does have to be fire energy to a fire Pokemon, but you're getting 2 instead of 1. So basically it's a bit like a Dark Patch on steroids. Dark Patch is popular, but once again we come to the whole trainer versus supporter argument, and I don't think that people are going to turn around and say, oh, I can get 2 energy off my supporter straight onto the field. Especially with, there's been prominent talk of Ember. You have an Ember out, then you can just go, here's energy retrieval. I'll pick up these 2 energy. I'll put them on the field. It doesn't have to go to one of my Pokemon. I can put one on my active, one on the bench. I can Inferno Fandango wherever I want. So with the deck that people are talking about, with the decks that people are talking about right now, with the Emboar being an option, I don't see Blacksmith being the big push. Maybe later down the line if we rotate to X and Y or something like that, and you know, we don't have Emboar anymore, we don't have the Inferno Fandango. Maybe if Charizard or just Fire decks in general are still a big thing, Blacksmith will see more play. But right now it's a case of it's not going to see too much play just because there's better options in format. And now onto one of my favourite cards that's been revealed. It's only a little thing, but I do think it's going to do a lot for consistency in Fire decks. And that card is Flame Torch. It's a trainer item card which allows you to discard 1 fire energy from your hand and then draw 2 cards. Now, as far as hand size is concerned, it's a standard break even. You play the Flame Torch, you drop a fire energy, that's 2 cards out of your hand, you draw 2 cards. So you break even on hand size. The biggest thing about this though is the fact that it's just flat out deck acceleration. The whole idea of how this is meant to work from the sets standpoint is it's meant to be a case of you play 2 Flame Torch, you draw 4 cards, you should have a Blacksmith by that, use Blacksmith to pick up your 2 energy and put them on the board. That's how this set and the actual deck in Japan is basically built. As I've said though, Blacksmith probably won't see much play right now over here, but I wouldn't say that people aren't going to play Flame Torch. It is a case of, if you've got Flame Torch in hand, you've got your energy retrieval, here's a nice little Emboar on the field. Well, I can use energy retrieval, I can get an energy to attach to the field, I've still got 1 spare in hand. Pitch, start for Flame Torch, draw 2 cards, oh look, options, stuff happening. As I said, it doesn't increase your hand size, it's not a hand replenishment tool, but it is accelerating the deck. And the further you get into your deck, the more options you're going to see. The more options you see, the more you can do as a player. And now for one final card before I actually sign off on this episode. Another trainer item card. We've been shown Sacred Ash. Choose 5 Pokemon from your discard pile, shuffle them into your deck. I don't see this being a huge card right now. Not many decks are actually running like evolutions, so you're not getting many situations where it's a case of, oh, I've just had a stage 2 knocked out, so that's 3 Pokemon in my discard pile. Oh, this stage 2 that's been rare candied has been knocked out, that's 2 Pokemon in my discard pile. A lot of decks right now are still very X-centric, and with that in mind, it's a case of when something's knocked out, that's 1 Pokemon, so you need to lose 5 Pokemon to actually be able to use this card at all. So you have to lose 5 Pokemon to basically use this card to the best of its ability. Well, if you lose a single X, then you can't have 5 basics knocked out, because you've lost the game. You'll lose your game on your 4th basic. You could have stage 1s and stage 2s, but they don't see a lot of play right now. If you're playing something like Keldeo Blastoise or an Emboar variant, then yeah, you lose Blastoise, you lose Emboar, then that's going to be 2 or 3 there. My major turn off with this card though is the fact that it just states 5 Pokemon. Not 5 in combination of Pokemon and energy, which is how these cards used to work. Any kind of discard recovery card tend to be a case of go to your discard pile for say a 3 in combination of Pokemon and energy, put them back into your deck. And you used to get small numbers like say 3 or 4 in a trainer, and you get like between 5 and 7 on a supporter. So yeah, I can see where this is coming from. It's basically a case of, oh well, it's an item, but it's getting you 5, so you can't get your energy, you just get your Pokemon. If Sacred Ash stayed as an item, decide to say, oh well, it's 3 cards, but it's a combination of Pokemon and energy, I would already say that that right there is a lot better. And I could see people playing it. But a training card that says, here's 5 Pokemon in my discard pile, put them into my deck, not really as good. You kind of want some energy back, or you want the choice to put energy back, even if it is with smaller numbers. But with that said, what do you guys think about Charizard and the support cards that have come out alongside him? As always, let me know down below, and until next time, I've been Retro Joey, you guys are the top percent. Hail Dome Fossil.